Assalamu alaikum guys. How are you? I hope you will be fine. So guys, I am going to tell you the history of the subcontinent of Muslim. How they get independence from Hindus and British. When the first war of the independence ended with complete victory of British forces and their allies, the Muslim people were in despair. Muslim soldiers had played an equally active part in the war, but because of so few real leaders or organizations, they had failed. Hundreds of Muslims were executed and tens of thousands dismissed from the army to earn their living as best they could. It is not surprising that the Muslims refused to cooperate with the British in the later reforms, which were quite generally also meant for their benefit. This was especially true education and trade, in which the Muslims refused to participate. As a result, for almost a quarter of a century, there were very few educated Muslims who would help to take part in running the country. After that, I would tell you the role of Indian government in 1852. Okay, through the war had led to the defeat of the Indians, the British had learned some very serious lessons. They realized that the Indians had their own culture, customs, and traditions, and did not want British ideas forced on them. The Indian civilization was much older than that of Britain. The British also realized that India was far too huge to be governed by the private East India Company, whose sole reason for existence was to make money for the merchants of Britain. In 1852, the Parliament in London passed the Government of India Act, under which those parts of subcontinent then controlled by the East of the subcontinent, the East India Company, were to be ruled by the British government with the Hisory living in India, and in overall control he had legislative council of officials and selected British members who helped rule. Three universities for the people of the subcontinent were opened in 1857 in Bombay, Madras, and Calcutta, but the Muslims refused to enroll in them. The Indian Councils Act. This is about how Indian Councils act after this situation. The first real step towards the independence, even if a very small one, was the Indian Councils Act 1867. This allowed some Indians to sit on the Viceroy's Legislative Council, and also on councils set up to deal with matters in the provinces. These Indian members were not elected but chosen by the British authorities. They were naturally princes, nobles, and other senior people. So guys, if you want this video next part, or write in comments. It will come as soon as possible.